back to the Footy Philosophy Podcast. I'm here with my man Kev, repping my squad as I rep the Portugal Cristiano. Um, Kev, I know I mentioned the kit, but I really do that. It's such a clean kit this year. It
It
really
is.
is.
It is. When it first came out, I told you that I'm probably going to end up getting one, and it finally happened. I don't know. I really do like navy and gold/yellow, so it works.
It just, it, you know, the Real Madrid kits, they've started to get a little ambitious recently, I would say. It used to just be like white plus one other color. And now, they kind of Adidas has kind of been working be making it a little more modern. Real Madrid still is like we really want white, but like as long as it's white, kind of had have at it. But lots of football this weekend. It was I would say a pretty straightforward weekend, but there were some exciting storylines that happened this weekend. We had the Carabao Cup slash League Cup, whatever they call it now, final. We had, which honestly I didn't even know was on until I went to East. Like I turned on my ESPN Plus and I was like, huh, I guess I'm gonna watch that game.
Yeah.
Um, Ramos returning to the Bernabeu, some thrashings in Serie A, and uh, Bayern playing Leipzig. Other than that, pretty straightforward weekend. And we'll start with the final as Liverpool come away winners in extra time as VVD gets the winner. And actually, Kev, I thought Chelsea was the better team over the 120. So um, I did watch this game, and Chelsea were pretty good on the day, and they actually seem to be in pretty good form right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like they've been playing poorly all season. You know, you could
That's fair.
consider it unlucky. You could consider it some bad tactics on Potch's part, perhaps, when it comes to specific games. But yeah, it wasn't like Liverpool were unlucky to win 1-0. It really could have gone either way. Chelsea did have a goal ruled off, I do believe. I didn't get to watch this game, but
VVD also had a goal ruled off.
yes, I saw that. I did catch that while I was at work, and I was really, really questioning why it got called off. Was there
Me
some
too.
sort of obstruction? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was obstruction by Endo.
Of course.
Hit Chilwell. It was Chilwell's man, I guess, who scored or something. I don't know. To me, it was kind of soft. But I
Yeah,
also thought the Chelsea one, the Chelsea goal, he was on. Like I
I
don't know how he was off.
I didn't see that one. I got to keep it honest. I didn't see that one. But
I
either
just saw
way,
it on Twitter. I had tuned in a little bit after that point. But I do have to say, Liverpool felt gutted. One of my friends is a Liverpool fan, and he's like, "Man, they're always doing us." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of like, "Man, like referees just suck." Like
yeah,
Nikki sent me the Bayern Real Madrid tie from like 2016, and because Real Madrid win the tie, it's all the bad calls against Bayern, but the ref was really bad for both sides. There were like Lewandowski got a pen the tie before that wasn't it was a ghost penalty and like it was just there was just a lot of, refs, let's just be honest, refs are really bad. Um and they're
yeah.
not going to be perfect. They're human beings, like they can't see everything. Their heads are on a swivel and you have one guy trying to cover, pitches which are one massive and two he's got to pay attention to 22 guys.
Well,
Um
that's what VAR was supposed to fix, and it really hasn't happened. I mean,
no.
in some ways, it is. It's helped, and we've gotten the right call in the end. But if as you say that offside was potentially incorrect, countless examples. It's just it
He
doesn't
was
serve the
like
game well.
he was like a quarter of an inch offsides.
Yeah, and I
See, the
mean,
thing, the thing, the thing that VAR, the problem with VAR is right now, and we don't have to get deep into the weeds in this, but it was put in place to fix clear and obvious errors, and now they're being nitpicky, and you know, it's supposed to be the head ref's decision, but the VAR refs are like, I think you're wrong. You should
Yeah,
change the call. And there's no really structure to it, which is really the issue. Um, but back to what really matters, which was the game. I thought Chelsea were really unlucky to not win. They had the attacking momentum. Granted, this was a weakened Liverpool squad. Um, and it was kind of funny. Jamie Carragher like went on TV and was like, "Money doesn't win." And then someone on Twitter was like, "Jamie Carragher says like money doesn't win." And he's like, "As Virgil van Dijk, the $80 million signing, scores the game-winning goal." Like,
and
it's just ironic. And then Jamie Carragher actually saw it, and because it did the rounds. So it got back to Carragher, and Carragher was just kind of like, "You know what I mean?" And like, yeah, we know what you mean, but like, stop acting like it's kind of stupid that these teams kind of like all these teams act like they're so high and mighty above everybody else, and like like Man United fans are like, oh, City this, City that. Like, dude, you guys have spent just as much money as them. Like, stop it. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, everyone's real quick to point the finger and throw the first stone, but when it's them, it's whoa, come on. But we do this, and I do it too as a Real Madrid fan.
for sure.
So,
I'm
no,
looking
sorry,
now at this
the offsides.
XG map.
Mhm.
Liverpool's on the right here. Chelsea's on the left.
It's pretty even, man.
Seems pretty balanced. I mean,
How do you
yeah,
miss that massive one right there? God.
yeah. But Liverpool also have four huge chances. So you know,
Oh, dude. Oh, I forgot there was this one play too, around on top of the six, where like Nkunku just hits it right into the ground and Kelleher doesn't even see it and it just hits him
oh
right in
wow,
the middle. Yeah,
yeah,
like it was just pure chaos. Like that's what finals are. Finals are pure chaos, and um you just kind of have to try to get control of the chaos. And the determining factor on the day, the difference between the two teams is one team is experienced with experienced leaders, and everyone's like Liverpool get it done with the kids, blah blah blah. Let's just check this lineup real quick, Kev. You know what I mean? Like, let's check this lineup, and were there kids on the field? Yes, I'm not gonna deny that, but I actually saw that what was it? It was Sunday the 25th, right?
yeah.
God, my whole sofa score is messed up now. I'm just gonna type in Chelsea actually. Um,
Well,
Chelsea actually had a younger squad than Liverpool in the day, which was pretty
is
funny
that
when you think
starting
about it.
11 or including subs?
I'm gonna look at subs too, but where is it? Gosh, there's this whole thing. I hate sofa on the computer. It's
Because
so confusing to me.
if you look at the subs, it's really the kids that carried them through extra time.
It is, but you still have the I can't I'm just you know what? I'm just going to Google. Screw it. And then it's Leeds. I'm really selling the bag right now. Not on top of my shit today. Okay, there it is. Um, yes, the subs did come on. But let's not act like Joe Gomez, who finished the game, is some young guy. VVD was still in the field. You know what I mean? Luis Diaz has been there. Endo's played some big games, and I'm not saying, I mean, this is a really crappy Liverpool team on paper, right?
Yeah, it's
I'm
not.
not saying, I'm not saying that, oh, it wasn't kids, because it was. But when you compare the two teams, like, name one guy on Chelsea team who's been there. Raheem
Uh,
Sterling. That's it.
maybe
Seriously,
Enzo.
it's just Raheem Sterling. I don't think anybody else in that squad has ever played a big game in their life.
I mean, was Enzo a part of the World Cup final? I forget.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was. I mean, yeah, he was a starter, but he's been a shell of himself. But still, it's different, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's different being a main player and being a passenger. You know what I mean? Well, VVD, when you look at the leadership, and especially with starting the game, right? Like, okay, the kids might have won it, but you got Gakpo, who's been around the block a little bit. He's a young guy, but he's been around the block. Gravenberch has played for Bayern, Ajax. Robertson's been there. BVD's been there. Konate's been there. McAllister was a big player for Brighton. You know what I mean? And Nico Jackson was plying his trade for Villarreal. Cole Palmer was riding bench for City. Enzo was playing for Benfica, big club. Caicedo, Brighton as well. So, we can just mark him and McAllister, one for one. But my point is, and just the point that I'm trying to make is that even these guys like Harvey Elliott's played big games before for Liverpool. He's
Yeah,
played finals for Liverpool. He might only be a 20-some-year-old kid, but he's been there. Not a single guy on that Chelsea team, except I will give you Enzo and Raheem Sterling, have been there. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And when you have a leader like VVD at the back who plays 120, bro, like he gives you confidence, man. Like VVD is a leader. He goes to war, and
yeah, no, for sure. I see what you're saying.
having that it changes it. And you know what? Losing the final is actually good for Chelsea in the long run. I
I
think.
think so. I think so because if they win, in some ways it kind of glosses over some of the cracks that they've had this season. Um, but I guess a cup wouldn't be the worst thing. But
Oh, you take it. I mean, you're gonna celebrate it like it's a fucking trophy, but at the end of the day, the loss is gonna mean more to push them further than a win would to push them further. Like
yeah,
Real Madrid got knocked out of the round of 16 for like 10 years in a row, and then Jose Mourinho came in, and then we lost semifinals 3 years in a row every single time. And then you have La Decima, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, in less than 10 years. And it's because of what was built there in the beginning. That hurt, that drive, that embarrassment, that matters. You know what I mean? And it builds character. Um,
for sure, for sure.
but we've kind of exhausted the topic. Moving on to Serie A, big weekend here.
Yeah, it doesn't normally headline our podcast.
No, but it is this time. So the race for the European spots continue to stay tight. Milan missed a chance to keep second tight as it dropped points at home against Atalanta, which is really unfortunate. The score ended 1-1. AC Milan dominated the attacking momentum, but the XG was pretty even. So pretty
I
much
think
Milan held on to the ball and didn't really create much.
I think it's
Um,
also a sign that as good as Giroud is, they need some answers up top. I think that's the
yeah, I even think you could argue that Luka Jovic has actually probably had a better year than him,
Mhm.
which is not a bad thing, but Leao hasn't really been up to scuff this year either. He's kind of been hit or miss, and honestly, Christian Pulisic has probably been their best attacker, at least goals and assist wise. Um,
Yeah, which no disrespect to Chris and Pulisic, but that's not the greatest situation you want to find yourself in.
and he's no Rafa Leao.
Yeah, he's been through injuries this season.
He's had a
He hasn't
rough year.
found consistent time on the pitch. But yeah, Luka Jovic, good player. I mean, obviously all these guys are good players,
They're
but
class,
yeah,
but
I think
they're
when you
not good enough to compete for Serie A.
yeah, not year in year out. And when you think of Milan, you think of a great striker, and I don't know, age is something that's unavoidable. And Giroud, he's had a long career because he's a technical player. He doesn't really rely
Mhm.
on his athleticism a whole lot, but I don't know.
It's starting to
I,
catch up.
yeah, for sure.
Moving on, Fiorentina pick up 3 points, jump Lazio, who they play, and they dominate the game. They only win by one, but the XG tells a different story. 2.92 to point 0.3. But it's a little inflated because Fiorentina miss a pen. But Still 2.92 to point 0.3 and you only win by one. You got to be gutted, but you're happy to walk away with 3 points. Um,
Yeah.
Lazio, not they haven't like it's kind of weird that they're up on Bayern 1-0 because they never really look good ever.
Yeah.
And I think, from what I saw, Lazio kind of waited too long to push for it a little too much. They waited till late, and you can't really wait till late to push. Um, and then Roma's great run of form continues after sacking Jose. Unfortunately, I love Jose Mourinho, but statistics are factual, and they have won 4 and 5 in the league. They beat Torino at home as Dybala grabs a hat trick. He scores a banger. I don't know if you saw the third one, but it was such a nice finish, just so clean. It's a goal scorer's goal, and the form he's been on. I mean, he's not Juve Dybala, but like this might be like the second or third best version we've seen of Dybala.
Yeah, I mean, I think De Rossi's system definitely uh, favors Dybala's style of play than Mourinho's for sure. Um, you want a side that's gonna try to possess the ball a bit more, I think, with Dybala than a team like Mourinho would run. You want Dybala on the ball as much as possible. It's really that simple. I see one of the goals was a pen, but yeah, he gets them. He gets them the win single handedly. 3 shots on target for Roma the entire game. There you go.
Dybala.
Yeah. So
The one was amazing. The one goal was just incredible. Actually, honestly, both of the goals that that weren't the pen were both incredible goals. And it's what he's capable of, and the fact that he could have moved in the winter for like 14 million and no one came and got him. Unfortunately, like because of who Dybala is and the position he's in, and the fact that he's such a similar player to Lionel Messi, in a lot of facets, he hasn't really ever gotten to shine with the Argentinian national team, both ball dominant players. Where I think Dybala is probably a little bit more forward heavy than someone like Lionel Messi. And by that I just mean like he's more willing to like not that he's gonna shoot more, but like he's more box hanging out in the box heavy
yeah,
than Lionel Messi, while still occupying the same spaces. Uh and because of that, Dybala kind of has been shoved to the side. And with this new generation of Dybala kind of grew up in the wrong time. Like if Dybala was coming up right now, he'd probably be lauded like Florian Wirtz is and Jude Bellingham and Jamal Musiala. The 10 is coming up. Um, and Dybala came up in a time where the 10 disappeared.
yeah,
And he kind of had to adapt and become like a striker slash shadow striker, or like a inverted winger. And it didn't really suit him that much. He kind of thrives best in a free roam. But he
yeah,
looks great. And maybe Roma's his level now.
yeah. Which I don't think is a half bad level at all.
Oh, you get
Um,
to play European football consistently. So
yeah, and they're right on Atalanta's heels for Europa League even. So they're definitely going to be wanting to keep Europa League football.
they have a good little squad too, Roma.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's really not.
And so moving on, Bologna have continued their hot form, even though they've been hot and cold all season. They beat Verona 2-0 at home with a dominating performance, and Juve grab all 3 points thanks to a late winner against Frosinone after dominating the game, but they squeak by with a 3-2 win on the weekend. And Inter stay strong, win 4-0, and still only concede 12 goals in the league. And then we had some midweek action, thrashing by Napoli, who go down 1-0 and then through Sassuolo 6-1. Kvaratskhelia has an amazing game. And then Inter win 4-0 yet again, keeping their pace at the top of Serie A. This one is done and dusted for them. But the race, they are now officially 12 points up on Juventus. Remember when this was a race like a month ago?
Yeah,
Yeah, not anymore. Um, but European spots are tight, 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 tight.
very.
Um, I think Juventus is probably pretty safe at 57 points. Milan 53, they're probably safe. but
I don't know.
Bologna on 48, Atalanta on 46, and they have two bad results in a row, which have them drop points. And Roma hot on their heels at 44 points. Fiorentina pick up the 3 points and jump Lazio, and Napoli, who have been inconsistent, but now hopefully Calzona can get right that ship a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I I thought it was a great weekend in Serie A. Lots of good
Yeah,
games.
yeah, it
Um,
was.
are you good on Serie A?
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to add? All right. Um, let's just go right to Bundesliga. We'll keep it moving like this. Just quick
Sure.
headers here. Leverkusen, keep it simple, win 2-1. They now have an 8-point lead on Bayern Munich. You think this one's over, Kev?
That's a tough question. That's a
It
really
is a
tough
tough
question.
question because they could easily bottle it.
Uh, I don't know.
They
It
don't
seems,
look like they're gonna bottle it though. They don't. They look great.
and let's take a look at the difference between players knowing Tuchel's leaving and the players knowing Klopp's going to leave.
Yeah.
I don't think the news that Tuchel's leaving is really galvanizing for Bayern's players. Whereas, as we see with Liverpool, they collect their first trophy in the hunt for a treble. Um, Obviously these guys are going to want to give Klopp all they can. Tuchel is not in a situation like this. For
No,
that
they're just
reason,
saying fuck this guy. I can't wait
yeah,
till he's gone. Why would I
yeah,
listen to this guy? He's leaving at the end of the season.
exactly. For that reason, it's really hard to see Bayern, um, make a strong push. It is 8 points, but these are, obviously these are world class footballers. They're gonna want to play the game and win. They're competitors. I don't know, man. It's gonna be. I don't see it increasing more than 8. How about that?
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. I think it could be done and dusted in March or April, just because I'm not so sure Bayern have anything to play for. You know what I mean? Like they might just go out and play, but Leverkusen really want this bad, and I think Leverkusen are going to keep getting points. They might drop points here and there, but I don't see them losing a game. Their schedule's really not that tough for the rest of the season. Obviously, you have some tough games, considering they're only 23 matches in and they play 36 in the Bundesliga, 34, 34.
34.
So they have 11 league matches left. That's a lot. And they got to focus on Europa League. They got for Curabag, FK on March 7th and March 14th. But, pulling away from home, that's not going to be easy. But, it's someone who's at the bottom of the table they should take care of. Leverkusen versus Wolfsburg at home. They should take care of them at home. Freiburg, Hoffenheim. They got Dusseldorf in the DFB Pokal. They got Union Berlin away from home. That's going to be tough with Union Berlin's form, but, should be fine. Um, they play Werder Bremen, but that's away from home. Here's the tough results at the end of the season: Dortmund away, Frankfurt away, Bochum away, um, almost in succession. April 20th, May 4th, May 11th, and they got Stuttgart at home. So that's if they're the thing is the first couple games I named, they really shouldn't drop any points there. And if Bayern do, that lead's going to build. That's the only reason I see it. And, by April 20th against Dortmund away, the league could be done.
It could be. It could
You know
be.
what I mean? It really
Yeah,
could be. Like, granted, if let's just say they lost those 5 games, like the last five, I mean, that'd be a 15-point swing. But,
I don't think
and
they
I'm
could
not
say
saying they're going
that.
to be up by 15 points at that time, but,
Yeah,
they could be. And if they're 12 points up by that time, Bayern essentially have to win all their games, and they essentially have to lose all their games to lose the league. You know what I mean? So,
I
um,
mean, yeah, we
let's just
find
say
ourselves.
it's looking good for Leverkusen at this point.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Bayern's fixtures are. I would say that they're a little bit easier than Leverkusen's, just by a tad, considering who's at home and who's away. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
If
I see what you mean. Like they have a lot of home matches against tough teams and their away matches are against easier teams.
yeah,
Like they got Dortmund at home. They got Darmstadt away. That should be a win. Freiburg this weekend is going to be tough, but Freiburg's in kind of poor form. Union Berlin away is going to be tough, and Stuttgart's away going to be tough. But damn, Stuttgart's got Leverkusen and Bayern back to back. That's brutal.
but they do have Frankfurt at home and Wolfsburg at home, and Cologne at home. So if you're a Bayern fan, you like to see that.
Yeah, but
I
they
don't know. It'll
haven't
be close.
really been great at home either this year.
No,
Like they did get smashed by Kusen at home.
they did. They did.
They lost to Werder Bremen at home too. Those are the ones that like I remember recently. Um, but it's the Bundesliga, so it's good. The Bundesliga is going to Bundesliga. Um, Talking about someone losing at home, Dortmund failed to take advantage of Stuttgart dropping points at home to Köln, and Dortmund were beating Hoffenheim 2-1 and then quickly go down 3-2. I was watching this game, bro, and my mouth hit the floor. I'm like, "God, this Dortmund team is so fucking bad." Um, but to mention on Stuttgart, they dominated the game 2.3 XG to point 0.7 and dominated attacking momentum, but only get away with one. And Colin were really comfortable in their block, and made it really difficult for Stuttgart, who had pretty much their best 11 out there. So um, Stuttgart finally dropped points after I think they won at least five in a row before that.
I'm seeing now. Stuttgart had 75% of the ball.
Yeah,
You don't see that a lot in the Bundesliga.
you
It's
do
normally
not.
closer to 50-50, unless it's Leverkusen, obviously. But yeah,
Well,
that's
we're
that's
kind of seeing a little bit of a shift in German tactics recently. They're kind of having like the La Liga shift, um, where teams are kind of sort of being like, like if I sit, like teams are starting to like counterattack a little bit more, and that wasn't a thing for like a handful of years in the Bundesliga. Like everyone played like gegenpressing,
yeah,
so there was like high octane all the time, and now like Bochum and Hoffenheim and Cologne are very comfortable sitting deep, and I think Union Berlin kind of started this trend a little bit in the Bundesliga again. Usually what happens is it takes like a team in a league to come in and be like, look, we're going to play differently. And,
yeah,
it was Atletico and La Liga, and now it was Union Berlin who were fighting with the big dogs for a couple years, now. They weren't doing great, but they were getting European spots and um made it to the Champions League this year and played at the Bernabeu. But yeah, so, I just mentioned three teams from this weekend who played well and got results because they were sitting deep and countering, and all three away from home, except for
yeah.
the
I mean,
Bochum one. But Bochum was last week, but still, that point still stands.
yeah. I do think there's also a level of talent dispersion in the Bundesliga that, to this point, and the way that the transfer market has kind of moved following COVID, I really am a strong believer in that sort of thing where a lot of these teams have had financial troubles and the talent's not necessarily there like it was, in the mid 2010s where the Bundesliga had like crazy talent. Not to say that there's none there now.
Yeah. You got
Um,
Kevin De Bruyne at Wolfsburg, and the disparity has gotten way worse. Let's just put it that way
I do
throughout
think
Europe.
so. And some of
No
these
go,
teams
sorry.
also coming up from the second Bundesliga are you've seen teams like Hamburg and I'm forgetting,
Schalke.
but Schalke, who've fallen, and so Hertha Berlin as well. Um, so some of these teams that are coming up maybe are a little bit ahead of schedule as well. So there's like the low block sort of thing. They just don't
And that
have
might
like,
have been the way they got there too.
yeah.
While the Schalkes were playing the gegenpressing, which got them exposed, the Union Berlins got there playing this kind of football, and it's allowed them to be successful.
Hmm.
But, Dortmund lose after being up 2-1, and there's actually an interesting thing that happened here. Ref misses a clear handball, like right to the hand, and doesn't even check VAR. which I thought was weird. I mean, like to me, I was like, okay, Dortmund, that's a pen. Like I almost went to my phone and almost bet like Dortmund draw because I was like, that's a pen. Like this might be
Yeah.
easy money, and didn't get reviewed at all. I thought it was really weird.
Maybe the VAR protocols aren't like as strong in the Bundesliga.
Well,
Um,
Bundesliga refs are known to be some of the Bundesliga and Dutch refs are known to be like the better refs in the world. At least from my experience. Uh, Dortmund at home. They are. How's their UCL? Was their they tied PSV 1-1. They're going
yeah,
back. They got them at home again. Oh, actually, funny note. I don't know if you saw that guy yelling at Sancho. Did you see that?
I did not.
He was like, Ten Hag was right. You fucking lazy bum.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I got to feel for Sancho on that one. Funny, but I feel bad for him. But
Yeah.
this Dortmund side just isn't good, bro.
I'm concerned with them and their tie with PSV. If it were the other way around and they were heading off to Netherlands right now, I'd be pretty certain PSV are going to get the win. But those fans at Signal Iduna Park, they
Oh,
may carry Dortmund to the victory.
well, you got to feel for them too.
Yeah, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like, I feel bad for them. Like, this is one of the most historic clubs in Europe, and they've essentially become like sellers to bigger clubs, and I don't know. It's just not gotta feel good. Well, it's gotta
Yeah,
be tough. You go from like a Holland and Jude where you should have won. You should have won at least a league with them. Um,
they were so
and now
close.
this is the squad you have.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. You know, if you think about it from like a cycle standpoint, because obviously leaders of sports teams do that. You know, maybe the Jude and the Holland was the peak of their cycle, and they were going to rebuild anyways. I don't know, speculation, but they're definitely
Dortmund can't
working on
afford
like.
the rebuild though. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, what I mean is they're definitely working on like revamping their squad. Like, there's not. I don't think this is their their ideal starting 11 for the next 2 to 3 years. Is
oh,
what
I
I'm
hope
really
not.
saying.
I fucking hope not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
They're
they've got to be,
terrible.
you
Dude,
know,
they make mass subs all the time, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, I know who they are, but like, dude, this kid's 16.
yeah.
You're
I mean, I
Dortmund.
noticed I noticed the lineup from Dortmund was pretty. It was interesting. Emery Chan at center back. I know he's played there before, but that's not where you want him to be playing. The
No,
attack looks
and he's been
nice.
slotting in there way too much for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I know their goalie's injured right now as well. Anyways,
Kobo, and he's good.
yeah.
He's actually very good. We can move on. We kind of took enough time tearing apart Dortmund squad for like the 50 millionth time. Um, Mönchengladbach smash Bochum 5-2. They look amazing as they win their first game in five, but they've conceded 45 goals this season in 23 games. That's brutal, man.
That
It's
is
almost
pretty
like two
terrible.
goals a game.
Yeah.
It's one off from 2 goals a game. But they finally get the goals going after losing, I think 4 or 5, or they were like tying games and stuff. Um, and after being down 1-0, Augsburg scored too late after dominating the second half as they walk away with 3 points, winning 2-1 against Freiburg. And now probably the best game of the weekend. Bayern, Leipzig, 2-1. It was a pretty even game the whole match. Bayern dominate XG, XT, field tilt, but um, it was definitely a good game. And Leipzig have been in good form lately. Did you have any thoughts on this one?
And not necessarily. Bayern are really struggling to create chances right now. Um, I'm still not understanding what Tuchel's aims are with the team. Uh, it especially against a team like Leipzig, I think you want to be trying to make the pitch as wide as possible because Leipzig wants to make the pitch as small as possible.
Yeah.
So make them uncomfortable. Um, and I know Koeman's hurt, but You have to go with
and
wingers who are.
Davies.
You have to go with touchline wingers in my eyes, even if it means playing Tell. I don't know. They win, so it's like
What's the weird thing? Like, I don't understand why Tell doesn't play more. Like, I know you have a ton of attackers that you like, but Matthias Tell is one of the probably the most dynamic player you have in the squad right now.
yeah. Other than Sane, who can't
I think
finish,
he's more dynamic than Sane at this point, though.
very
Sane
well.
on the right is kind of one dimensional.
Yeah, and that's where you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. That Sane was never good off the right at City. He was always playing off the left. Always. I don't know. I don't get it.
Doesn't
But
make any sense to me.
they get the
But
win.
yeah, and Harry Kane hasn't looked good lately. Like his finishing has been off. I know he grabs two here, but he's been missing a handful of chances every single game where I'm like, man, bro, this is gonna bite them in the ass one time in the UCL.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
you
it's
have to be on.
yeah. If that's from a Spurs standpoint, when Kane wasn't scoring, Spurs would lose. And I guess Bayern's a better team than Spurs ever were when Kane was there. Maybe aside from like one season, our team was better than this team. That is than this Bayern team.
I don't know.
Um,
On paper, this Bayern team is probably the best team in the world, but with Tuchel at the helm, they're not.
well, that's what I mean. Like
No, I
you
know.
look at
I'm
the
just
squad and then you kind of just like start thinking about how it operates. I'm thinking 2018-19 Spurs
yeah,
could
the UCL
compete.
final, right? I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Anyways, yeah. If you're gonna rely on Kane, the team operates around Kane, and it's not a bad thing because he's a world class nine. But he he has shown a few cold runs as a Spurs fan, and it's kind of what's going on with Kane now. We'll see if these finishing boots are back on. They could be scary because he starts to score at almost unprecedented clips. I don't know.
Well, and he's just been missing chances that like you just expect him to get better shots off on. That's all it is. And Kane walks away, scores the first goal and the second. And this is a dude that scored a brace, but from two guys that have seen a lot of Kane, this isn't the level he should be at. Um, like
Yeah,
at
no,
one
no, no.
point, Guerrero plays a really good ball into him, and Blaswich makes a great save, but it was I still like I want Harry Kane to finish that. Then he gets the boys going with a great finish into the bottom right corner. Musiala plays a good ball to him. Um, and just the Bochum game, he got a header on the back post and he just scuffed it. And I just keep he's scuffing chances from time to time. And as a nine, you're not gonna score all your chances. But when when a nine's on, when he is scoring all of his chances, and Harry Kane's that type of player.
Yeah,
So that's really what we mean. We're not saying he's in bad form right now. He's in okay form. It's just not the form Bayern need him in to be successful this season. And we're at the business part of the season where let's just say Harry Kane picks up their scoring, Leverkusen drops a couple points, Bayern could easily win this league. Harry Kane starts scoring. Let's just say they get past Lazio, and Harry Kane picks it up in April when the next quarterfinals is beginning of April. Bayern become a pretty scary opposition to play in the Champions League. Um,
yeah. And I'm looking at it here now. I'll share my screen, and what I notice is one thing. You see Bayern absolutely dominate the momentum in the first half.
with nothing.
They don't score goals. Second half, it's a bit more contested. Well, a lot more contested. They even score a goal when Leverkusen or Leipzig are the more threatening side. And all I'm really saying here is that clearly Bayern have an identity problem in my eyes. They're
Did you see
trying to
those
be so
subs that
good.
changed it though? Like they made. Did you see how? If you go back to that,
Uh huh.
look at where the subs were. You don't even have to show it. You can just look at it. Look at where the subs were and look at how Bayern started peaking when they made
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
That's pretty incredible. It means their bench probably should be maybe Matthias Tell is better against tired legs. I don't know, but I don't even know if
Well,
he played in this game. But
he did. He did come on.
yeah, there we go. But the point still stands, the fact of like maybe Tuchel's initial lineups are kind of wrong.
I don't know. I think he tries to be. He was never a ball dominant coach, and I think he's trying to do it now. But I don't know. Just be a bit more transitional. You don't
The
have to
best
dominate the
version of
ball.
Tuchel I saw was at PSG, I think, in my opinion. When he had Neymar and Mbappe, and they weren't really like they were a ball dominant side, but it was more so a transition ball dominant side. Like they could do it a multitude of ways, and that
Yeah,
was the best version of Tuchel I've seen. And just talking about the Leipzig side of things, Benjamin Sesko, huge prospect. Everyone knows his name. On the minds of European squads, elite European squads that see a big nine whose off-ball movement is great, and that's what I want to highlight here. His off-ball movement is fantastic. He finds himself getting a lot of chances, but man, his finishing is just so bad, and it has been bad. And this isn't something that you probably saw a lot more of him than I did before the Leipzig move. What I've mostly seen of him is from the Leipzig move, and with the Real against Real Madrid, I intently, like, fucking hyper focused watching this fucking dude just sell for his squad. And even the goal he does get, bro, it's deflected. Like his finishing just hasn't been good, and Leipzig have been Openda's been he's kind of cooled off a little bit, and so he's been getting on the end of a lot of chances, and he kind of sells for his squad, in my opinion.
yeah. No, it's very reminiscent of Timo Werner, uh, in many
Jeez,
ways. Yeah, clearly a guy who knows what he's doing. He just doesn't have the ability to pull it off all the
at
time.
least not yet. That's the thing. I just want to see him work on his finishing because you can't teach getting to the right areas. You can't teach him getting those shots. Like that was the one
Exactly.
big thing when Vinicius was young. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, Vinicius is finishing this crap, blah blah blah." But like nobody else is getting into that position. Like
Yeah,
that's he's getting that shot because he beat four guys off the dribble. Like nobody else is doing that. So it's important to put it into context. Um, and need I'm not saying Benjamin Sesko is a bad player. I'm actually saying I actually think he's a fantastic player, and that off-ball movement is fucking incredible. Dude, you don't just wake up one day and go onto the pitch and randomly have fucking nine balls fall to your feet for you
yeah,
to shoot. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that is something you cannot teach. That is something that is just him just being always finding the right space at the right time. Um,
yeah.
and so the point being is that just yeah, exactly. Jesus.
You know, he's still finishing chances. He'll definitely come good one day.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh yeah.
outperforming his XG right now slightly.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm not saying he's a. This isn't me saying he's a bad player, and he's just on.
Yeah,
I think he's on a cold run of form right now. But the best nines in the world, when they're on cold runs of form, still score. Harry
yeah,
Kane is on a cold run of form, and he still scored twice for Bayern. This is the point. If that's the level he plans to get to, which is someone not that he's been like, oh, this guy's the next Harry Kane, but he's more of a God, who's someone he's more like? I don't want to say a Zlatan, but it's kind of like Zlatan. Like
well, he's
he's
more
a
like
big
Holland.
body. Yeah, Holland's a good comp, except he's a little better, and he's a lot better in the air than Holland, I would say. That's why I kind of said Zlatan because, like, you're talking about an imposing freak. That's just an athlete who's like 6'7" and should probably be playing fucking basketball, but he's not. He's playing fucking football. Um, and that's all I want to say on him. I didn't really think Leipzig were that good in this game. I watched this game.
Yeah,
It was
it doesn't
okay.
look like they got a whole lot going.
But they seemed comfortable. You know what I mean? Like they never really felt uncomfortable, it seemed. And
Yeah,
that's important. But we can move on to I'm gonna hit Copa del Rey real quick. We can hit FA Cup rapid fire, and then we can go into EPL and La Liga. Mallorca advanced past Real Sociedad, beating them on pens as Bryce Mendez misses a penalty in the 45th minute, which would have had them advance. Sociedad lose on pens as Mikel Oyarzabal misses his, and they lose after dominating the game. What was it, like 26 shots to like 8 over the 120? Mallorca don't know their opponent yet, but Athletic Club are up 1-0 playing at the San Mamés in less than 24 hours. Less than less than 12 hours.
I'm gonna try and
Not
watch
less
that
than
game if
12,
I
but
can.
yeah, I'm gonna try to tune in as well. It's probably 3 o'clock, 3:30 Eastern time. Um, and then just some FA Cup rapid fire. Leicester beat Bournemouth. I'm not really surprised there. Blackburn takes Newcastle to pens. Leeds come up short against Chelsea in a pretty even game. Holland puts 5 past Luton as Kevin De Bruyne gets 4 assists. Um, you
I
put
don't know
all
if you
FIFA goals
saw.
here. You
Yeah,
wanna
I
you
don't know
wanna
if you
explain that a
saw.
little bit?
It's literally just like you're breaking away on FIFA and you just press Y and Holland's there. That's literally all
Yeah,
those goals were, except for one. One was a
yeah.
good finish.
One was a great finish. The one where he smashed it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure that's what. Yeah,
I don't know. Like Nikki was sending me the. He was like, "This is insane, dude." And I was like, "It is insane to score 5 goals. I could never. I could never." But at the same time,
context.
yes, context. Um,
It's
and it's Luton
Luton,
Town, who have had a good
and
season.
it's a guy who should be winning the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Uh,
Not that many people
yeah,
scored 5 goals, but
I don't mean to knock it. Let's just put it that way. I don't mean to knock it, but
yeah,
and we already have our quarterfinals pictures here as Wolves beat Brighton as well. Wolves Coventry, so we should probably see Wolves advance. United Liverpool, that's juicy just because of the history. City Newcastle, that's juicy because of the oil money game. And Chelsea Leicester is gonna actually that's probably the most interesting tie for me as an outsider because Leicester's pretty fucking good and Chelsea's pretty fucking bad.
yeah. I mean, Leicester are a Premier League team competing in the Championship right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they
I
lost.
still don't know how they got relegated. It still doesn't make any sense to me.
They should have moved on from Brendan Rodgers way before. Which is no disrespect to Brendan Rodgers. It's just kind of like the timing of things and how they work out sometimes. Um, Leicester were pushing for Champions League all the
Yeah.
time. And I think things just got stale. They tried to keep it going. You need to change your squad up. Pep
Yeah, you
Guardiola
need him.
all the time.
Guardiola says it all the time. Yeah, that's you and you the same wavelength on that one. Yeah, that's why Guardiola sells players and brings new guys in because he knows that to keep his squad hungry and fighting, he needs to bring in new blood. And we should probably mention that Phil Foden is in incredible form right now.
He is. Yeah.
EPL. You put here overzealous conclusions. We're truly in a three-horse race for the title, and top four will only be via Spurs. No United. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just a boring week in the Prem. Yeah, a few things that we'll mention, but I just wanted to give some hot takes, I guess, or some
Let's go.
conclusions that I'm making that
Hook
aren't
it up.
really justified yet. Um, I do think we're in a three-horse race for the title. It's not really a hot take, but I think it's going to go all the way.
I
Um,
think it's a two-horse race, but I'm just being biased, I
what,
think.
no Arsenal?
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal's really pushing.
Well, Arsenal looks so good in the league right now. Like
They
they've
do.
they have not stopped scoring.
They have not.
But we'll see how long it'll go. Maybe
They got a tough go, bro. They got a tough go.
they
Let's
do.
be honest, their games have been kind of easier.
It's
Um,
true. It's a good
other
point.
than like Liverpool recently. But have they made it look easier? Maybe they have.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
probably have.
they beat Newcastle and they only let up 0.19 xG.
Yeah, but Newcastle right now is like mid-table team.
But still, it's not like it's a relegation candidate. The point
No, no,
is, I think Arsenal have the capability to, you know, do I think that they'll win the title? No, but I think that they'll be there. I think, within the last 5 games of the season, it won't be, oh, Arsenal's out of it. I think they'll still have a chance. And we'll be seeing the graphics on the TV with the remaining fixtures, and it'll be those 3 teams. That's what I really do think that's how it's going to go. And then with Spurs and Villa, I think those are the 2 teams that are pushing for champs. I don't think it's going to be United. If they don't have Hojlund, they really struggle to score goals. We see
They're
it with
even on goal differential, which is fucking embarrassing for a sixth place team.
it really is, and it makes the table look really ugly. Anyways,
Yeah.
they lost 2-1 to Fulham, tying it into this week's games. I just see that as happening if there's no Hoyland. Um, they don't really have attacking depth. Amari Forson, who like cool young prospect, he's starting over Antony right now.
Yeah.
Antony's their fourth choice winger. Like I
Who
don't
you
know if
spent like almost 100 million on.
exactly if Ten Hag commits to counterattacking football, maybe they'll be in there. I just don't think he will. I think he's a little bit too egotistical to do that. Um,
They are
it's
8 points back of Villa, which is a lot of points.
it is, and even Spurs are kind of slipping away. Um, but I think the fixtures coming up are should be relatively smooth from what I remember.
I think Villa will slip though. That's just my personal opinion. Um, Emery tends to have his ups and have his downs, and his ups are great, but his downs are really bad. But they've been consistent this year. They got 16 wins, which is great
Yeah.
for them. 16 and 26 is fucking solid. Um, and they've dropped points in 10 games. To put in perspective, Liverpool have dropped points in 8 games.
Oh wow, that is pretty
City have
crazy.
dropped points in 8 games. Arsenal have dropped points in 8 games. So they've only dropped points in two more games. And literally, they're only 2 wins behind those two teams.
Yeah, so they're kind of still in the title race in a
No,
way.
they low key are, but
Yeah,
they're really not because they're going to drop more points. And that's how United could get in. United's biggest problem, what's crazy is that I'm looking at the table right now. United are 14, 2, and 10, right? Like, wow, that fucking sucks. But they're in six because they have 14 wins. But then I look at Chelsea and they're 10, 5, and 10, and you're just like, damn, if Chelsea could have turned three of those draws into wins,
yeah.
they're actually fighting for European spots.
No, I know. It looks like, in my eyes, Brighton have been more consistent than United in a way.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
But yeah, because United
Nine
turned,
draws is a lot. How much does Unadense have now? You see this? Did they tie this
bro,
weekend?
they probably broke the record.
14 draws, 3 wins. They lost this weekend. So sad. They're a negative 15 differential. Dude, they're still fighting relegation. Goddamn. They have the least. Oh no, Salernitana has two. I was about to say the least amount of wins. Um, but moving on from that conversation, which no problem there. Um, did we even mention that Man United dropped points to Fulham? I don't think we did. I think we were
I,
just
I
talking about
said
the
it.
race. Oh,
I
did you
said it.
say it? Okay, okay. Arsenal, as you said, smacked Newcastle. And Havertz has kind of moved around a lot. He finds himself in the false nine in this game. I was actually talking to one of my students who is MLS next player going D1, the Furman in South Carolina, where Clint Dempsey went. And I was explaining to him how Trossard has been playing the nine. He's like, no, he's not. I'm looking at this, he knows football, but like, dude's in MLS next. He doesn't have time to watch football. Um, I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I'll pull up fucking heat maps right now and show you that Trossard is playing the nine and Havertz isn't. Because when UCL drops the lineups, they kind of start adjusting stuff
Yeah.
based on how they think it's gonna look. But because he checked the highlights because of the Porto game. Um, but Havertz has been playing kind of like a 10. Now he's in the false nine. Where do you see him shining for Arsenal?
Well, it may be recency bias, but I think it's here. And I think this recreates his positioning at Leverkusen the best.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
just in the hole, and giving him the choice between making forward runs or staying back and maybe being a box crasher, or uh, I'm forgetting the word. I'm
A late runner, maybe? Is that what you're
no,
looking for?
just distributing the ball because he is a good
Oh,
passer.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, he is. And he's a big physical guy. Like he's like a big dude for a 10. So like
Yeah,
a false nine fits him very well. And that's what he played at Chelsea too. Like I don't know, he's kind of like in that he's kind of in that CDK ilk, you know. Um, how do you find the best position for him? I don't know. He
I
essentially
think
has to be the main man of the team, and no elite team is going to make Kai Havertz the main man.
yeah, I think let me pull it up real quick. Um, I think Arteta is starting to do it though. I do. I think he's starting to figure it out with Havertz. It's sorry, I'm trying to
Take your
fill the
time.
dead air. I just want to look at the pass maps here.
Pass
You
maps, my
you can
favorite.
see it
Here we
from
go.
here. You know he's not your furthest man forward, and I don't think you want him to be. You want him to be playing. You want him to be playing and connecting with guys like Rice all the time and
And
playing off of
Odegaard.
them. This is actually a really interesting Arsenal
Yeah,
team from
Odegaard's
what we're
really
used
high
to.
up, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and you don't
They did
have
dominate
like
the ball though, so it makes sense.
more of a double pivot style from Arteta this game, which we haven't really seen. Um,
I
anyways,
think
if
that gets the best out of Declan Rice is having Jorginho next to him right now. Like with the way they're playing, I think having Declan Rice kind of move a little more forward where he can use his ball playing skills a little more of the pitch, I think is better suited to what Arsenal is trying to do right now.
for sure.
Any other EPL stuff that you want us to touch on? I know this was
No, I mean
literally all you put in the notes.
it was a really boring week. I mean, Wolves won again.
Not surprised. Gary O'Neill. We should just
Yeah,
change our podcast to the Gary O'Neill boy
for sure.
fan club.
Gary O'Neill fan club. Um,
As a guy who we both know is like we're losing the Wolves today, and I'm just like, yeah, Gary O'Neill, you're losing the Wolves today. It's because of Gary O'Neill.
yeah. No, I mean, I really just don't think there was much to talk about with the
It's
Prem.
fair. Yeah, I don't think there was much to talk about in any league. But moving on to La Liga, just Valencia and Levante games were suspended due to a nasty fire in an apartment building in Valencia. Um, so just deeply saddened by that. So none of the teams in Valencia played this weekend. So Valencia and Levante and um, Segunda did not play. So sad to hear about that. All the La Liga teams did a moment of silence for them. They did not have a problem canceling their games. But now on to better days. Sociedad's poor form continues as they drop points at home to a struggling Villarreal side who smashed them 3-1. Not really surprised right now. Are you surprised by
Well,
that? Because I'm not.
we were talking about it with Austin before it started to kick
Yeah,
off, and you know you were throwing up some of the stats that were relevant, and it was really seemed like it was up in the air for me. If I had taken a moment, I was in class just absolutely buzzing off caffeine. So it was like,
why I
I'm
don't do caffeine.
yeah, my mind is just going 100 million miles per minute. But if I had slowed down and realized Sociedad are not finishing their chances right now, I would have told Austin to go with Villarreal.
That's why
But
I went with the over 2.5 in that game because it was
yeah,
clearly going over 2.5, and that was plus money. And I told Austin, he said, "Nah, I'm gonna stay away from it." I was like, "You're an idiot. Listen to me." Austin, if you're listening, I don't really think you're an idiot, but hey, you should have listened to me. I'm superior when it comes to betting football. Um, no, I'm just joking. But also, Barcelona walk away with all 3 points at home at the Montjuic as they smash Getafe 4-0. Goals from Rafinha, Joao Felix, Frankie de Jong, and Fermin Lopez. And Getafe's been good this year, so smashing them 4-0 is actually kind of a big deal for Barca because though Getafe isn't as good as they were at the beginning of the year, they still find themselves in 10th place. Um, 8 wins, 10 draws, 8 losses, 34 points, 10th place. They're really not a bad squad. Who's kind of hit poor form recently. 2 losses, 2 draws, and a win in their last 5. So you take, before that, they were actually doing pretty good. And Barca smashed them 5-0. Do you have any? Do you think this bodes well for Barcelona against um Napoli upcoming next week? I
Well,
want to say.
yeah, next week. They're both coming off of some good goal scoring form, which, uh, it's good to see Barcelona score that many goals without Lewandowski, and it's good to see that Napoli team score that many goals without Osimhen scoring, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if he played today. I just know Kvaratskhelia had a really class game. I did not actually check the lineup. Osimhen actually scored a hat trick.
Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia scored hat tricks.
Kvaratskhelia got two, Osimhen got three, and then Rahmani got the other. Um,
Okay, so I'm
I'm
spreading
guessing
misinformation.
Kvaratskhelia probably assisted like four of them though.
Yeah.
Not even, oh,
Anyways,
it is possible, but I'll tell you right now, you can go.
regardless of me not knowing reality, it's it's good to see both these teams hit some goal scoring because neither side really wanted to finish in the first leg. I do think there'll be a bit more of an open game in Barcelona, and Napoli will have to go for it a bit more. Um, at home, it's a fortress. You just kind of want to shut down and, damage control, like we talked about with Atletico doing against Inter.
Yeah,
But I don't
it's
know
going to
how
be
much.
difficult for Napoli to do that. I think. At least Montjuic is not really a tough environment to go to, the way the stadium's set up. So I think that definitely plays into Napoli's hands.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of like going to well, it is going to what do you call it?
Olympic
A
Stadium.
neutral stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Olympic stadiums are tough, man, to get any sort of fans going, especially when your stadium, half the seats you can't really see properly. But Atletico's poor form away from home continues as they drop points to last place Almeria, who have already been relegated essentially. We're happy to grab a point, but their away form is so concerning, but their home form is so good, which is what makes this Inter tie so interesting. They're down 1-0, but they're so good at home. And they only lost 1-0 away from home to an amazing team, one of the best teams in the world.
I think Inter might be the best team in the world right now, to be
I
honest.
would agree with them or Leverkusen, I would think.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I mean, them getting Inter at home is so crucial, so crucial. It's the main reason why they're even in third place right now in La Liga.
Yeah.
They're just like Aston Villa in that sense, where if you look at the away table, I'm sure it's pretty crazy. Anyways, I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of this game, but it is pretty shocking. Almeria have been terrible all season.
Yeah, they've been quite terrible. And they've actually been good lately, which is kind of crazy, but they just keep not being able to pick up points. Um, I'm just going to go to Real Madrid real quick. Ramos returns to the Bernabeu for the first time. He's not received that well, whistled by a select few, and the whistles are loud. So, if 10% of the stadium whistles, it sounds like the whole stadium's whistling. Most fans still hold him dearly, but some clearly are still hurt from the way he acted towards the end of his time at Real Madrid. I know people personally who are like that, but Luka Modric turns back the clock, grabs a classic Modric banger, makes a beautiful first touch, curls it around the keeper off the post. Quite uneventful game. Real Madrid win 1-0, but it would have been nice to see Sergio Ramos get um, taken off, but they were still fighting for a point. So you can't take off your best defender, who's actually, I'd argue, been the best defender in La Liga, bar maybe a handful of guys, and Sergio Ramos has been. And do you have any opinion on how the Bernabeu received Ramos, even if it was just a select few?
Yeah, I mean, for a guy that has scored Champions League winning goals, I don't see it, man. I really don't. If it were me, I would just good to see you again, man. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. I just think you're kind of putting your ego in the way. Um, Ramos definitely loves Madrid as much as some of those fans probably do, in
Oh,
my eyes.
yes. Yeah, probably
Um,
more than some of the fans.
exactly. Um, as a guy who wears a Madrid jersey right now, then I'm not a fan. It's kind of ironic. Anyways, yeah, no, I disagree with whistling a guy who was your club captain during such a historic time,
Like almost
successful
10
time.
years too.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm I'm kind of indifferent about the situation. Like I think if he would have got subbed off, he would have got some praise. Like I think the claps would have outdone the whistles. But when he's touching the ball in the fourth minute and the stadium's dead silent because Sevilla have the ball essentially, and people see he has the ball, so they start whistling. Whistles are loud, man. Like I said, it was probably a select few, probably less, probably like maybe people that were actually at the game said it wasn't as loud as it seemed on TV, but I'm not really sure. I wasn't there. Um, but it sucks, but I get the sentiment. This guy really fucked us over. Um, as captain, openly went to talk to other teams in the middle of our season and then didn't get what he wanted. So then he was ready to accept the contract that we had offered him, that we had rescinded because we gave him, we want to know by March 5th or whatever the date was. March 7th comes along and he wants to renew, and the club's like, dude, no. We had already signed David Alaba at that point. So the relationship kind of soured. The relationship was always kind of sour because um, even though he is El Capitan, even though he arguably is the best defensive player of all time, he is the best defender in Real Madrid history, um, and someone who we all love dearly. Some people are still hurt by those decisions he made, and he used Man United to get a new contract. He used China to get a new contract. Um, and that's not what you expect from your captain, especially from a guy who said, "I would play for this club for free if I had to," and then doesn't play for the club for free because he didn't like the contract that the club offered him.
yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
so I see both sides of it. I'm just putting it that way. I see the people that are upset about it. I get it. I'm not upset about it though. I'm so happy for him all the time. Like I see him, it makes me happy.
Yeah,
Um, all right, so Real Betis beat Athletic Club 3-1. Nico Williams sees red for dissent, which I find ridiculous. It was definitely a foul, but giving him red for dissent. He then starts clapping at the ref like, "Yeah, good job," and then the ref shows him a double yellow, and he sees red, and he's now suspended. It pretty much Athletic Club it made them lose the game. Any chance they had, they get one back to make it 2-1. They were already 2-0 down at that point, or maybe it was 1-0 down at that point, and um, you got to feel for the kid, the young kid. You told me you're gonna have some pushback here.
yeah. I don't know, man. I think, like you said, he's a kid, so it's a bit different. And when you're playing the game, emotions get in the way for sure. But, but I think you got to know the time and the place. You just been booked, and I'm not sure if he's saying anything, but you're egging the referee on, man. I just think to act surprised about it is not necessarily the right thing. Um, I
I
know
think the ref
leaders.
needs to have thicker skin. You're a referee.
Yeah, I get
Guys
it.
say guys say a lot of things in emotion. Even adults. I know he's a kid, but even adults. You know, Kev, you've played sports. I've played sports. We all say shit we don't mean when we're emotional.
Yeah, for sure. I don't
Sometimes
know.
you just gotta let that shit roll off your back. La Liga refs have a power trip anyway. But I also see your side of it. Just let it go. Like you've
I
already pissed off the ref. Now
exactly.
you're
And
gonna mock him.
if you're thinking about your team in that situation, I don't know. It's kind of you're just letting them down.
That's a good
Um,
point.
not to say that like Nico's some selfish, egotistical maniac. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying
I
like
hope not.
yeah, just saying think about the game. Kind of realize, all right, I'm really upset right now, but
We're
maybe
down.
I'll have yeah, maybe I'll have a chance to right my wrongs. Um, give them an earful post match maybe if you want.
Maybe
I don't
going
know.
off at halftime.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think
I
that's all fair. I think we
yeah,
found a middle ground here.
for sure, for sure.
Um, Girona smash Rio 3-0. Savio, probably the man of the weekend of all of football. He had an amazing game. I guess if we include midweek, it's probably Oshiman, but I'm talking weekend. So, he's moved to Man City. Just a talking point here. He's on loan at Girona, who's owned by the City Football Group. He's on loan from a second tier side in Ligue 1, owned by the City Football Group. So he's from a City Football Group on loan at a City Football Group, who's now being transferred to the City. This has got to be illegal, man.
It's
Like,
definitely like it's so just so weird.
there's some sort of moral conundrum going on here, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
Well, not even just a moral conundrum, but in terms of law, I feel as if there might be rules prohibiting this. It's kind of like insider trading in a way.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's
We still haven't even heard a transfer fee. I'm assuming he's just going for free. I mean, even if there was a transfer fee, it would literally be like me moving money from one hand into the other and being like,
yeah,
woohoo, I paid myself.
yeah, for sure. You can't really pay yourself money, and I know that there's separate entities to a degree.
Oh,
Like
yes.
if you own a conglomerate, you still want a specific portion to turn to profit.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're gonna be the one funding the profit, it doesn't really work out. So yeah, it's weird, and it's kind of a shame that Savio uh, will be attached to this.
Yeah.
He's a great player in his own right, but for sure, I think it should be stopped. I just fear that it's too late. Like City Football Group just acquired that club in Turkey. FIFA don't care, dude. They whichever way makes them more money, if
Because they're getting paid, yeah.
they're gonna allow it.
Yeah, and it's really messed up. And someone, UEFA, FIFA, someone needs to step in and be like, it's got to be FIFA. We should have never allowed countries to own clubs. First off, um, secondly, why are you allowed to own two clubs? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Like
pretty weird.
it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Like if you want to buy a second club, that's fine, but you have to sell your first club. That's the way I
It's
see it. Like
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know,
I feel like we should almost do like
separate
a
pod.
a short little highlight pod, 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst idea. Now that we're done all this stuff, how are we doing on time? Yeah. So just quick here. We talked about rankings. You mentioned Inter being the best team in the world. Give me your top five right now. Just quick fire.
Top five off the top of my head. Yeah, I think I'd put Madrid at five. I think I'd put
Ooh,
I think I'd put Liverpool at four, City at
ooh,
three,
ooh.
Leverkusen two, and Inter one.
That's fair, but I don't
I
agree.
think all five of those teams could beat one
Each
another,
other.
but
Yeah.
I don't think another team, maybe Arsenal's 5B or 6.
I don't know. Madrid have only lost. I don't know. Madrid have more points than both City and Liverpool.
I know. I,
Five
s-
more
I saw
points.
the combined table. I did. Um,
Yeah.
I just
That's the
think
only reason. Like, you can only play the competition you've been put up against.
I think
So
if you took
that's
these teams though right now though, and with Madrid's injuries,
well,
um,
we haven't looked good lately either. Our last five, we win, draw, win, draw, win. So yeah, it hasn't been great recently. Um, and we have to go to Mestalla this weekend. So I'm just biased towards my team.
yeah,
Uh, any games you're looking forward to this weekend, and then we can wrap it up.
I haven't
Obviously, I'm
really.
looking to the Mestalla Real Madrid game.
I'm definitely looking forward to Spurs coming back. It feels like forever since they've played.
Always,
Um,
bro. I am looking forward to the Athletic Club Atletico Madrid game tomorrow. Um, do
and
want to mention
we
that.
have a Manchester Derby this weekend.
We do. Yes, we do. Lazio play Milan. That'll be a good one. MLS back this weekend. Watch that. Um, Newcastle Wolves should be a good one. Looking, no, Germany, Bundesliga, na 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 na. Ooh, Bochum at home versus.
There's some good La Liga this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Athletic Club Barcelona, that's probably the best game of the weekend other than the Manchester Derby at the San Mamés, which Barcelona has struggled with in recent times. Um, Serie A is usually pretty good on Sundays. You have Napoli, Juventus, Atalanta, Bologna on Sunday. So just some games to look forward to this weekend if you want to watch. Kev, it's
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
yeah,
Um, Go follow us on socials, guys. TikTok, Twitter. Um, we haven't been active on TikTok lately, but we're gonna try to pick it up. We're both super busy. Just life. Uh, Thank you all for listening, and you guys all have a wonderful day, weekend, whenever you listen to us. Kev, my pleasure.
yes, sir. Peace.